everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Public Announcement Podcast. And today we will be talking about an interesting topic which, amidst the recent protests in America, I reminded myself of, and I reminded myself that something like this exists, and I actually wanted to talk about this for quite some time. We are going to be talking about corporations and how I personally think it's inappropriate for them to express their political views or political opinions, or generally opinions on matter of the society. So let's start. We have to first address what corporations are, and therefore we have to, kind of go back. Now, corporations are pretty much these big entities which serve to push out products. That is the main premise of a corporation. A corporation is not supposed to be human-like. It's supposed to be a production powerhouse, right? For example, if you talk about the corporation of Apple, it doesn't have to be human-like, and it sure as fuck isn't. I mean, they're producing phones and notebooks that we buy because we as consumers, which are the customers of a corporate, know that these products hold a certain quality, and we want them. We want the product because we want to do something with the product. So, in my personal opinion, corporates should be faceless. They should accept that they are faceless, because they certainly are. There might be a CEO, there might be somebody who's representing the company, and therefore some of the cheeky people might say, well, he's the face of the company. But not exactly, because the CEO doesn't do everything in that company. He most of the time doesn't do almost anything. He just kind of runs the business. And of course, that's a job in itself. But when I'm talking about the actual production of the product, he is not maybe even at the supply lines or at the construction lines, right? Those are made by individual workers, which are supervised again by individual workers. So it's a large chain of people working closely together to create some kind of a product, which is later on then sold. That's a pretty obvious business model. The problem comes, and I think this is kind of connected with the invention of social media, is when these corporations start to mingle in politics in a way. Look, lobbying has been around for a shit ton of time. And yeah, alright, go ahead and lobby. I don't mean that kind of mingling with politics. I mean when these corporations set up these, which were supposed to be only for business, and they set up these profiles on their social media, and instead of actually promoting their products, they start to talk about how everything is bad. Now, there was this old joke during the Pride Month that all the corporations, they just act like they like gays for a month, and then they change back. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. Corporations shouldn't do this. Why? Well, because Gay Pride Month, or the Pride Month, let's take an actual example. So we are talking about something. That's a made up thing. That's a thing that people made up and are celebrating. Lots of people agree to celebrate it, and therefore people attended and celebrated. It's a thing of the people. I wouldn't say it's a community builder, but it can be taken as a social activity where people meet and talk and whatever. Now, where does the corporate come in there? The rally itself does not really need money, right? It's just a bunch of people coming together, right? Do you need money? There is no concert. There is no something. I don't know. I've just seen Pride on TV, but that's what I believe, right? It's a rally. It's celebrating. There does not have to be any budget, so therefore you don't need any sponsors. You don't need a corporate behind you. And other from that, there is no reason. Because think about it this way. When a corporation puts out a statement, let's say that they support gay pride, what does that actually mean? Like, what value does that hold? Does it mean that every worker in that company holds the same values? Does that mean that only the workers which are in the actually developed countries, only those hold such views? And what about those people, those slaves at developing countries which are working for you? Those don't hold the same values as you? Because if a corporation puts out such a strong message, there is a tendency to believe that the entire corporation believes in that message, since a corporation, let's say Wendy's or let's say McDonald's or similar to that all the employees employed under that company agree with the statement, which often than not is not really the case. So why make this statement at all? Why is it needed to show that you're with somebody, or that you're kind of acting like a human being in a way. You're taking the responsibility for it. So why is there a need for the message? Well, the obvious answer is, of course, they need to sell more products. All right? I mean, that's kind of the straightforward answers. If you start to cling to certain social groups, if you start to cling to certain, what is it? Societies, communities is a better word, to certain communities, you can sell them your products individually. That's why all these corporations are starting this race of showing like how progressive they are, how awesome they are. Because that is exactly that. If you show that you're the most progressive and the best corporation out there, you can sell the most products. Look what Twitter's been doing in the past few days. You know, Trump has been tweeting. I'm not saying Trump is tweeting only facts. No, not at all. But I don't think it's a corporation's place to go there and start to fact check him. Well, that's not Twitter's job. Twitter is supposed to be a platform where everybody comes and says their bullshit and leaves. We as the people are supposed to be fact checking. We as the people are supposed to be saying like, yo Trump, this doesn't make any sense. Shut the fuck up, boomer. We're supposed to say that, not Twitter. But Twitter comes there, rolling up and starts to spit out facts, even when it's up to discussion really. But whatever. I'm not gonna argue about this point. I'm not that educated about it. Again, but I'm just saying that it's not a corporate's job to tell Trump what it should do. Or what facts did he get wrong or something. Twitter should allow him to have his free speech and should also allow people who think or disagree with Trump to have their part of the free speech and react to him. That is how it's supposed to work. Twitter, this is not your platform in that way. This is not like you can just come there and be like, hey, you said something wrong. Get out of here. It's a public space in a sort of way. Imagine if somebody did that in a park. For example, somebody would walk in the park, somebody would start to have a discussion about something, and suddenly the park, whatever guard or whatever those people with those weird ass hats that go around the park with the badges and shit, they would just like come to you and say like, hey man, get the fuck out. You're talking about something which is not allowed in the park. Imagine how would that feel. That's the exact same thing on Twitter. And I'm not even fucking surprised Trump wants to push these new laws which could be held accountable for it. I perfectly understand his sentiment. And Twitter is fucking surprised. You know, I'm reading Bloomberg News and they're all writing these criticisms about Trump, how he's like stumping free speech. How the fuck is he stumping free speech? Twitter, if anybody, was stumping his free speech by providing something which a corporate shouldn't do. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. When corporations react to personas, because it's the common wave, right? There are lots and lots and lots of haters of Trump in America. He has his voting camps, but there are lots and lots of haters. I won't deny that. And I saw that it was actually kind of funny. You know, when Trump tweeted it and Twitter fact-checked him, there was this small void period when nothing really happened. And I think that was at the moment Trump was preparing the new law and he didn't yet announce it. And everybody fucking celebrated like we would defeat the Nazis. Everybody was like uproaring like, yeah, Trump got what he deserved. Yeah, we fact-checked him. And everybody was just like going around. And then they realized it's a big fucking fuck-up because he released that law. And people were like suddenly like, what? No. Wait, what the fuck is happening, guys? Oh no. It was fucking funny. It was hilarious to watch people change from this like, we won, to at what cost. It was amazing. But let's get back to the topic to kind of sum it up and end it. Again, it's not Twitter's place to fact check Trump, it's the people's place. And companies have been doing this on a smaller scale with memes, right? You see these companies have their social media channels or social media accounts flooded with memes. Aren't those supposed to be the kind of like ways to inform us that there is a new product that I could check out or to push out an advertisement? And I don't know whoever does that advertising, but it has never quite worked. And I don't know if you remember, but there was even a counter meme to it, which kind of speaks for itself that you have to create a counter meme to a certain phenomenon. That makes kind of big, but whatever. Let's just talk about that. That was this like spider with his like glowing eyes, and he was just like Silence Brand. And the corporations, after a certain time, they started using it too. So I think the meme kind of died. But that's not quite the point. The point is that memes are made for people or certain communities. And you're not gonna force your way into these communities by overusing memes on your profile. You're not gonna force your way into community, or maybe you are, by overposting these LGBT power motivational posters type of bullshit, or these female empowerment and girl power, and arguing with people who are alt-right or something, or whatever they like to call the conservatives nowadays or something, right? That is exactly the type of attitude that corporations shouldn't have. Corporations, as I mentioned, should be faceless, should produce products that I will consume, and should tell me why should I consume such products in advertisements. Advertisements which are individual, which are known to be advertisements, and not with these clingy memes or clinging to certain communities. There, of course, is that entire aspect of customer support and talking to your actual fans, and that's pretty fine, you know, as long as the corporation comes out and says like, hey, this is Josh from this is Josh from Wendy's. How do you like our new burger? Is there something you would improve? That's perfectly fucking fine. I kind of find that a little bit sweet, like the company does care about the people. But again, you're a faceless corporate, so don't pretend you're something else, and don't push political ideologies. Don't fucking push agendas. Don't fucking push anything really. Just give me a product I can consume, and I'll be happy. And as to end this episode, silence brand. Yeah, well, that was the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see each other in an English episode again in 2 weeks. Don't forget that we have an email subscription. The link is in the description of this podcast. And you can subscribe there. You can get your daily dose of news and mail of what's happening around the world. Not daily, weekly. I'm not doing a daily newspaper. Weekly sum up of the greatest headlines. And of course, notifications when a new episode comes out, or there is something that I consider important to mention. Right? Yeah, so thank you very much, and peace out.